heartwarming scene where David actually discovers a way for him and Sydney to touch each other, to be together in this like illusion sort of place where it's like really white, and I'm guessing that the white represents some sort of purity. And there's also another scene where Melanie talks to David about Oliver and says, you know, he was just like you. And David's like, yo, you want me to do you want me to take you to him? David's character development is starting to change. Now he's starting to really feel himself because he's figured out how to have him and Sydney be in a room together and touch. He's figured out that how to control his power. He just like, I'm the shit now. And he's walking around basically like, I'm the shit. Super confident with this psychopathic smirk on his face. And I'm just like, David has completely lost his mother effing mind. He lost it. He lost it. Like, he's somewhere else now. He's unstoppable. He's somewhere else. He's out here snapping his fingers and just killing people like it's nothing. Like, there was this one scene where he just like, whoo. And the people just died. And he's just like, whoo, whoo. And I'm just like, yo, that's hot though. That's pretty cool that he just snaps his finger and he just like killing people. And Melanie and one of the other guys looks at the camera and they see that the blob is actually David and has pretty much taken over his body. That's why he's super confident out here just killing people like it's nothing. And like, he even has sex eventually with Sydney in their little safe space place. And it becomes blue. I'm guessing that represents the purity of it all. Blue, the heavens, and the good. I don't know. That was just my interpretation. But I'm just like, okay, David, you feeling yourself a little bit too much. You know, you got you over here killing people without even touching them. You just calm down. There's a scene with like this old dead guy on the floor, and he tries to tell memory guy Sydney like, yeah, David was here. He came to get Amy, but he's had the face of a monster. Be aware. He had a face of a monster. And like, he's doing like this death scene, and it was the worst death scene ever. Like, it was so terrible. It just wasn't good. And it's like, how do you die good? You know? So maybe there's really no good way to die. Maybe I'm just being super like nitpicky about that. Oh, the scientist guy ends up telling Melanie, yeah, there's a parasite living in David's body that's been living in it for 30 years, and it's attached this consciousness to David, so it's not really David. It's like an old mutant, and they're just like, what the, huh? This whole time I'm thinking that it's a part of David, this dark part of him that he's not one with, and they're saying that no, it's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother being on its own that's living, attached to itself, parasite leached to David. So that's crazy. So then there's another scene where Sydney and David are in the room, and he's like randomly serenading her with a banjo, and I'm like, this scene is so random. This scene is so random that this is what I'm talking about. Only in psychological like type stuff that you can do stuff like this, because the scene was so random. He was just like randomly on the bed. It just sounds like some psychopathic type stuff, type of behavior. He's on the bed playing his banjo, serenading her, and then she sees the room with the dog, and it's like red, and she closes it. And I'm guessing that she closed it because she doesn't want it to interfere with David right now and change his mood. And the color of it being red was maybe because that was a dark part of him that she didn't want to let in, because he was so called in a good mood playing the banjo and happy. So David ends up when he rescues his sister Amy, he ends up asking her like, you got a secret, tell me your secret, because you know he's quote unquote now, so he know what's going on. He can sense it now. He's with his power now. He can sense things. So he asks his sister like, what's the secret? Tell me the secret. And she's acting like she don't know what the secret is. And then she's like, you were adopted. And he's like, what? And I'm like, what? That makes sense. Before she tells him that you were adopted, there's actually a scene where Lenny comes out all suited up, and he starts seizing. And I thought that part was really interesting because it's like malfunctioning a little bit. Like whenever Lenny shows up, something bad happens, and he started seizuring as if he was like malfunctioning. And I thought That was pretty cool. I would have liked to seen that drag out a little bit more. So the scientist guy ends up making this headband for David to wear so that they can control his power more and kind of be able to communicate with. One scene that I thought was really interesting and really creative was the scene where they bleeped out their voices and the sounds, and you couldn't know, you had to like read their lips. I thought that was pretty creative and interesting that they did that. So the final scene, Sid and David end up back in the safe room after one of the guy pulls out a gun to shoot David, and the guy who pulls out the gun to shoot David is actually the dude with the blind eye who's like mimicking someone else's body. And yeah, they end up in the room and she's like, David, and he's like, I can't control it. I can't control myself, that part of myself, that blob, dark part of myself. So the blob comes out fat and it starts chasing her around the room, and she's like freaking out. She's scared. She's like, David, like scared, all creepy with the music, and it's all ugly. Anyway, yeah, that happens. And then she closes her eyes, and when she wakes up, she's back in the psych ward with everybody that was in that episode, and they're all just sitting around looking crazy. And she's like, I'm sorry, what was I saying? And Lenny actually interjects and is like, you were telling us about your dad and how you felt like you were abandoned. And it just goes off, and I'm like, okay. Okay, that was an interesting episode. Yeah, it just ended, and I'm just looking forward to the next episode. Don't really have much commentary on the ending because I'm just like, it just kind of leaves you just like, oh, okay, next episode. But if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know your thoughts about the video, and I will see you all next time. Also, before going, if you would like to get a copy of my book Rain by yours truly, T Outlaw, the link is in the description box below. If you like this show, Legion, if you love these reviews I'm doing, you will really enjoy this book. It is so relatable, so enjoyable, and you can go online and you can read a little bit about it. You can read about chapter 1. It's up online for free, and you can also read the back cover to get an idea of what it's about. So yes.